right, so hey everyone, my name is Andrea Nicolau. I'll be walking through chapter F1.2, Survey of Raster Datasets of the Earth Engine Fundamentals and Applications book. So the basic outline for this presentation is we'll go through the chapter overview, then talk a little bit about theory. I'll be brief here, and then go into the practicum where we'll work with the scripts we have prepared for this chapter. Also here a link, quick link if you want to access these slides, is bit.ly slides_F12. So in this chapter, we'll learn about the many types of collections of images available in Google Earth Engine. Some of the learning outcomes we have for this chapter is one, accessing and viewing sets of images in Earth Engine, extracting single scenes from collections of images, applying visualization parameters in Earth Engine to visualize an image. And it assumes you know how to sign up for an Earth Engine account. I think by now, if you've been participating into these video series, you've already have an Earth Engine account. If not, you can see the Google documentation for details. We also assume you know how to access the Earth Engine code editor, locate the Earth Engine inspector and console tabs, and understand their purposes. This is part of chapter F1.0. So if you haven't participated in this video series, you can check them on the book website. It's available. And also finally use the inspector tab to access pixel values. This is part of F1.1. So a little bit about the theory. If you've been participating into these video series, you saw some of the basic ways to interact with an individual EE.image in previous chapters. However, depending on how long a sensor has been in operation, there may be thousands or even millions of images collections of the Earth, right? So in Earth Engine, these are organized into an image collection. There's a separate object for image collection and just image. And it is a specialized type of data and it has like specific operations to use for image collections. And like an individual image, it can be added to the map with like map.addLayer. So we have different types of collections of images, and we'll see some of them in this chapter. Some of them have like packets of satellite imagery, but we'll also analyze climate and weather data, digital elevation, and land cover. So dive directly into the practicum. And for the first section, which is called image collection, organized set of images, we'll learn about the basic operations of image collection. So we'll learn how to view an image collection, how to filter by date and location, and also how to select the first image. And we'll be working mainly with the Landsat A, Collection 2, Tier 1 raw collection. So if you haven't added the book repository into your Google Earth Engine account, there's a link here to add your book repository. And we'll start with the first checkpoint that will address how to build an image collection. So if you click here on this checkpoint, or if you're accepting the book repo for the first time in your Earth Engine account, you can see that the book repo is located here on the left side. You may see it under your Reader tab, and you see that it has two parts. Part F, Fundamentals. In this specific chapter will be located under F1, and you can see here F1.2, Survey of Imagery. So section 1 will do both checkpoints A and B. So we'll start with checkpoint A. And the way I'm going to do this, I'm just going to open the entire checkpoint here. And I have a separate tab open with a blank script in Earth Engine. And what I'll do, I'll just copy and paste bits of this code so I can explain to you step by step. I know if you attended last week's video, Jeff did a comment on comment process, that can also be done, but I personally prefer working with just copy and pasting bits of the code. So for now, I'll just start copy and pasting lines 1 through 16. And I'll paste here in this blank script. So we start with how to do an image collection. As I mentioned, we'll be working with the Landsat 8 raw collection. So right now here in this line 12, I'm defining this variable Landsat 8, and I'm pointing it into an image collection that lives in the Earth Engine data catalog. And you can see this is like the asset ID for it. So if I copy this asset ID and I paste it here on the search tab, it would be the second raster collection that you can see here. USGS Landsat 8 collection 2 tier 1 raw scenes. And if you open, you can get all the description about it. You can confirm that it is indeed this collection that I'll be working with. And you can see that since this is the raw collection, we'll be working with digital number values. So these are scaled, calibrated, but add sensor gradients. These are not a surface reflectance or top of atmosphere data. So we're working with digital number values. So here I'm just defining this variable, which is my image collection, and I'm not filtering, I'm not doing anything. This is basically the entire collection of Landsat 8 raw scenes. And just to have an idea, you can also check here in the description, the dataset availability. It's from 2013, March 18th until today. So it's still, Landsat 8 still flies around the Earth. So we have, it's continually being updated. So what we are doing here, we are printing the size of the Landsat 8 dataset. So we use the print function, which you've seen previously, and then a message the size of the Landsat 8 image collection is. And then with this function called size, we can get the size of the image collection. So if we click run, it will take a while to load here because it's counting the number of scenes within this collection. And since we haven't filtered the collection, it is for the entire globe since 2013 until today. So if you like luck games, you can put in the chat the number you think, more or less. Maybe Jeff will give a prize for whoever gets closer to the results. But it will take a while here to load this number. Let's see. I'll open the chat to see if anyone's. Oh, and it's there already. All right. So you can see, yeah, it's a lot of images, right? We have 1,551,456 images. That's for the entire globe since 2013 until today. So it's a lot of images, right? And just to have an idea of how many data we have available. Now, if I go back to the complete checkpoint, I'll copy lines 18 to 21. And I'm going to paste here in the blank script. That is not, now it's more complete. And in this line, what we're basically doing, we're trying to print this collection. And you can see the comments here say, try to print the entire collection. Warning, running the print code immediately below produces an error because the console cannot print more than 5,000 elements. So because we have 1 million images, we'll run into an error because Earth Engine does not print more than 500 elements into the console. Imagine having a list here of the image collection with 1 million images within it. It's just too much data for Earth Engine to process, right? So this is something that you always get an error if you try to print more than 5,000 elements into the console. The next block here will be from lines 23 to the end of this checkpoint, where we're basically adding this collection into the map. And we'll see that it will be sort of like chronologically sorted. So the most recent pixel will be displayed at the top. So we are using the map.addLayer function. You've seen that before if you worked with chapters F1.0 or 1.1. But in this case, we'll be adding an image collection to the map. We're defining the bands. These are the just visible bands, so red, green, and blue. And then we are also defining some values, pixel values for visualizations. In chapter F1.1, you saw a little bit how to work with, selecting these pixel values for better visualization of your image. And then we're just calling this layer Landsat 8 image collection. This will also take time because we're loading not a million images, because we're, currently our map view here is just focused mainly on the United States. So Earth Engine is loading all the images available within this map view that I have currently on my screen. Maybe if you're working, you might have this map a little bit bigger on your end, but you see that the images will start loading here, and you can see that they have this layered look, because you can see the strips of where the satellite orbit goes, and you start seeing some images pop on your screen, and this will also take some time. We can see that already here for these bits that we see here at the top, there's a lot of cloud, right? Since we're working with the raw image collection, nothing of like a atmospheric corrections that has been applying. So we'll see a lot of white pixels, which represent cloud or atmospheric interventions. Take a while. Let's see how long it takes to load a little bit of this image collection. So now another portion here started to load. You can see more images coming in, and you can see this layered look again. It's just where the orbit of the satellite passes, and you can see many of the images are overlapping. And you can see this layered look. So whenever you add an image collection to the map, this is sort of more or less the result you see. And now we will start working with other types of images collections. We'll see some processed image collection. We'll see advanced products where people take this image collection and turn it into different types of products. And it's just finalizing loading here, but you can already have an idea of what a image collection looks like on the map. And I'll warn you, if you try to pan the map or zoom in and zoom out, Earth Engine starts loading the images again into the map, and that might take, again, more time to have everything added to the map. So for now, I just advise you to just keep the screen as is and wait for the image collection to load. So now that we've finished checkpoint 1.2a, we can go to 1.2b, where we'll see how to filter an image collection and also how to select first image. So I'll go back here to the repository that we're working on. Now select here F1.2b. And I'll also clean the scripts that I've been using to copy and paste. So what I'll do, I'll just clear here the scripts. There's a reset button, there's an arrow here, and I just click clear script, and I have a blank script for me to work on. All right, so you can note that the first part of this checkpoint is exactly the same as we had for the previous checkpoint. So I'll just copy everything we had previously here and paste it. So from lines 1 to 36, it's exactly what we've just seen. And with the difference here, I have commented out the print command here so we don't keep getting that error on the console. And I've also commented out the map.add layer where we are adding our Landsat 8 collection into the map, because we see that takes a long time, and for us to keep working, on a good pace, I have commented out lines 22 and also lines 26 through 32. To comment lines, you just need these double forward flashes. All right. So now we are going through viewing an image collection into filtering an image collection. For that, I'm going to copy lines 38 until 54 first. Here into this working script. And what we'll do first here, we are defining a new variable, which is called Landsat winter, in which we'll take our Landsat 8 collection. Again, this is the collection for the entire globe with images from 2013 until today. And we'll use the filter date function to filter this collection by date. So for the filter date function, we need to define 1 or 2 dates. It works with 1. Right now, we'll work with 2 dates. The first one is the start date we want to filter that collection to, and then the second one is the end date. So right now I have defined, I call it Landsat winter because I'll work with winter dates for the Northern Hemisphere. So I have 2020 December 1st until 2021 March 1st. It's important to note that this first date here is inclusive, which means that if we have one image exactly at this date here, December 1st, that image will be included in our filtered collection. But this second date here, it is exclusive. So meaning that if we have an image from March 1st, 2021, it will not get included in our filtered collection. Okay. So what we are doing here, we are filtering this collection by dates, and we are defining the dates here in a filter date function. Okay, so everything that is outside of these winter months from 2020 to 2021 will get dropped out of the collection, right? And what I do after this, I add this new collection, which will have fewer images, right? Because we're filtering by certain dates. I'm adding this new collection to the map. I have the same bands. I change a little bit the pixel values here for minimum and maximum, and I'm calling it winter Landsat. And I'm also printing the size of this new collection of the winter Landsat 8 image collection to compare with what I had previously. So again, we're taking, we'll be comparing the size here. We had 1 million or more than 1 million images. Now we're just gonna see how many images we have for the winter between 2020 December and 2021 March, first day of March. And I'll click run, and you see 2 things. You see the number of the winter Landsat 8 image collection loading, and also you can see that the images here down in my map load much faster because I have fewer images. And you can already see that here I only have around 33,000 images between December 2020 and end of February 2021. And you can see the winter Landsat here also loaded much faster. We can see there are a lot of clouds still. Here it's fine, you can zoom in and zoom out because the images will load much quicker because we have fewer images. And you can see that for some of these strips, you have a lot of clouds. For some of them, you have less clouds. And because these images are on top of each other, that's why you see these differences here, this blocked type of view of the image collection. But you can see that it loads much faster because we have fewer images. We're looking only at winter images. Now I go back to the main code and I'll copy now lines 56 to 73. Just a little bit my screen. I'll go back here to a broader view of the United States. And what we are doing now, we are creating an Earth Engine point object. We won't get into too much details here. You'll see later there's a chapter for vector data in Earth Engine, but here we are defining a point in Minneapolis. So we call this Earth Engine object ee.geometry.point, and we are defining longitude and latitude for where we want this point to be located. So we are creating this point at this specific longitude and latitude, and it's a point in Minneapolis. And we'll be filtering our collection using this point. So here we're creating in line 62 here in this code, the one that I have here. We are defining a new collection where we'll call Landsat MN, and then that will be a Landsat winter collection that it was already filtered by date, right, for the winter months. And we'll apply a new filter using the filter bounds function to filter by location. So this filter bounds function filters a collection via location. And in this case, we'll be using our points that we defined here above. So what you basically do, you just get that point, whichever images overlap with that point will get filtered, the rest will be dropped out of this collection. And then we'll add this collection to the map. So this next set of lines here, map.addLayer, we are adding this new collection to the map. And then we'll also add the point to the map to see where it is located. So we have another map.addLayer function here on line 72, where we are adding this point into the map. We don't define any visualization parameters here for the point, but we give it a label point MN. And then this is Minneapolis again, that's why we have MN. And then also we're printing the size of this new collection because we want to compare, you know, the number of images we have comparing from that entire collection for the entire globe for the entire time period of Landsat 8 to the Landsat winter collection, where we just applied the filter date function to this new collection where we have the filter date applied and also filter bounds applied. So click run. And you can see that the numbers here already started popping. You can see that this new collection, which is refiltered by date and bounds by location, only has 7 images. So it's a pretty small collection, you may say, compared to the previous ones. And I am going to turn off this winter Landsat 8 collection from my layers, because that's the winter collection we had. And you can see that I'm just leaving the new MN Minneapolis Landsat 8 collection layer turned on and the point also turned on. And you can see here the point around Minneapolis in the state of Minnesota. You can zoom in. You can see that the 7 images are here. You can sort of view maybe 3 or 4 images here, but that's because again, they're overlapped on top of each other. And you can turn off this layer to see the point where it's located here close to Minneapolis. And you can see that you can turn on this collection. Again, you can see those images. And because it's, you know, it's winter, we see a lot of clouds, we see a lot of atmospheric effects. Again, we are working with a raw image collection, so you see some different colors. And it's like a purplish color here for the images. But again, we only have 7 images for this collection. So we went through having 1 million images in our collection to having only 7, and we did that by filtering by dates. We defined 2 dates here to filter our collection, and also we filtered by a point, so by a vector object. And we'll do the last step of this section, which will be selecting the first image in the future collection. So now I'm going to copy line 75 to the end of this checkpoint. And I'll just add here at the bottom of this working script. So here, just after printing the size of the Minneapolis winter Landsat image collection, I have these new variable that I'm defining called Landsat first. And I'm taking this last collection I have, which is already filtered by date and filtered by bounds, and I am calling the function called first. So this function, and you can look if you want here under the documentation on the docs tab, you can either search for first and look under image, ee.image object. You can see here first, or pardon me, it's under ee.image collection. First, it returns the first entry from a given collection. So it is just taking that collection, the image that it is first on that collection will get returned here as an image. And then we are adding that image to the map afterwards. But first, we're centering the map into that image. So here, map.center object, we define an object where we want our map to be centered at, and we define a zoom level. So here it's 7 because we're defining zoom level of 7, and I believe zoom levels go from 0 to 24. And then we are adding this image into the map. So it's important to note that here under documentation, the first function under image collection object, what we get returned is a image object. We no longer get an image collection object. So when I'm adding this variable Landsat first, it is an image. It's not an image collection anymore. So if I run, I can turn off all the other layers that I have here under my layers tab, and I'll just leave this last layer that I've added to the map, which is the first image within that collection. This is the only one activated, and we can see that it is this image here. You can zoom in, take a look. It's very cloudy. Again, we're working with a raw image collection of Landsat 8, so there's no atmospheric correction being applied or anything like that. And if you turn on the Minnesota collection, the one before applying the first function, you can see that, you know, this first image was probably at the bottom. It's like at the bottom of this collection because you cannot really see it in this image collection. So now yes, we finally finished section 1, where we learn how to build, how to filter, and how to select the first image within an image collection.